about the shakeup on offense, Coach, in particular at wide receivers, changes this week?
Yeah, what we're doing is we're going to move some guys around to different positions, trying to get them different matchups. But you do that anyway. I mean, that's just part of coaching. But you know, we got to make more plays. You know, we dropped a couple passes last week that would have helped us. You know, we've got to take a little bit more sense of urgency in the fact that, you know, when you're called on as a receiver, which you don't get called on that much, you got to make the best of it. And you know, I saw some improvement there, mostly in their run blocking last week, but the rest of it will come. And again, their work ethic's really been good too.
Coach, when you see struggles on offense, do you peek in on the coaches, or do you let the offensive staff in?
Oh no, we talk about it. We watch the film together. We talk about, you know, why we made this mistake. You know, is there anybody else we put in there that won't make that mistake? I mean, Sundays are our biggest day. You know, we start early at 6 in the morning, and most of us go to church for a couple hours, and we come back and we go to midnight. And it's usually on past games, or we get all the games together. We self-scout. We look at it. We talk about it. We talk about changeovers. You know, sometimes we'll start the game plan a little bit earlier, but we don't start that until we feel like we've got the answers to why, you know, something went wrong. Do we need to make a change if it was wrong? If something's going right, do we need to try to make it better? I mean, that's part of it. And Sunday's your day to do that. And we've done that. You especially do it more early in the season when you just don't know as much about the younger guys. And there's long discussions about, you know, each player offensively. And is there anybody we can move in there to do better? Is it our coaching? Are we trying to coach do more than what they can handle? And you know, we scrutinize ourselves as well as players. But no, I'm involved in that. And then we start the game plan. Most of our game plan, since we don't practice on Monday, is done Monday and Monday night. And that's after we've decided to either stay or go or change or do something different.
You want a good start for every game, but when you're battling frustrations on offense and stuff, is it even more so important this week to see them get off to a good start?
Yeah, you know, you always talk about a great start, but you know, the one thing that you don't want to do is go out and do something that you might not be able to do. Ask more of them. And so every game that we go out, we're kind of basic. You know, the thing that you will do is you'll try different formations early, but your plays are going to be about the same. Your blocking is going to be about the same. Sure, you'd love to come out and score 21 points in the first 5 minutes, but you know, that doesn't happen very often. You know, the thing that you do want to do is just build your confidence as the game goes. And we talk to our players. We want to play 4 quarters. The type of game that players that we have, you know, we've got to play 4 quarters. It's got to go all the way through. And most of our games that we'll have, if we're in the game in the 4th quarter, then we feel like we've got a great opportunity to win. Last week it kind of got biased, but most of the ones before that, we've been able to finish the game and finish on the right track and keep our concentration. We're in great physical shape. You know, our defense, if you go back and look at our defense, most of your defensive players are your special team players also. And they play 75 plays, 80 plays. They played the entire 3rd quarter of the night, and they laid it on the line. And there's not any finger pointing, you know, offense, you got to do something. They know they can win games as well as the offense. The one thing we talk to our players about is turnovers. I mean, you can't play 75 plays on defense and play as reckless as we play and as good and not create turnovers. And we've got to do that for us to have success. That's a part of every game, especially when you're turning over on your side. So there's a lot of room for improvement on the defense, but most of it is things that just happen when you're playing hard. And I'm really pleased with the progress we've made on defense, but again, we can be much better.
Tom, you talk about Brandon taking so much on himself. But that's part of a quarterback's mentality sometimes. You work on tempering that? How do you?
Yeah, you know, when you got new running backs behind you, and the only guys that's really experienced are your tight ends, and the rest of them are unproven. Then a lot of times your quarterbacks think he's got to do a little bit more. But you know, Brandon understands. He understands how to play quarterback, and sometimes he's throwing it up for grabs, and you can go back and during the game you're thinking, why would he do that? And you go back and look at the film, you can understand why he did. And there's obviously every game a quarterback would love to have some plays back. You never play perfect, but he's worked hard. I mean, he watches more film than any quarterback I've ever been around. He tries, and he'll have some success as we go through the rest of the year, and he'll have some that won't be as good. But he understands that his job is to score points, but also be a confidence builder for the other players. And we're not going to try to pull him back. We want him to play hard and try to win games for us because he has that experience and he knows how to do it.
Time for a few more questions.
Seemed like the elusiveness of the USF quarterback frustrated the defense a little bit. There are more mobile quarterbacks coming up on Auburn's schedule. Does that concern you at all?
Well, we played pretty good, and they're going to win a lot of games. He's a good quarterback. Their scheme is like a two tailback system. He's a tailback as well as a quarterback. He's tough. You better be tough if you run that. And I'm sure he's still a little sore from Saturday because we got to him pretty good. And we played him just about what I thought we'd play. I would like to have a couple of plays back early in the game. They hit us on a couple of things that we were a little fast for. We kind of overran it the first play of the game. We just overreacted. He cut back, or the running back cut back, gained about 15, 18 yards. That hurts a defense like ours at times. And you've got to as the game goes, you've got to understand how to play a certain quarterback or a certain running back. And that's a trait of a good defense, and that's what happened to our guys. I think I looked up the scoreboard in the first quarter. They got 140-something yards offense, and they just barely had that much the rest of the game, and had a lot more plays. And so we adjusted well, but that type of offense is kind of the offense a lot of people are going to, because as I heard a coach say that runs this offense, they feel like it's easier to find this type of quarterback. But again, it's a offense where you better have several of them because they're like running backs. You better have several running backs when you run the I formation because they're going to get beat up, as we all know. So it's a long season, 12 games, and it'll be interesting to watch them as they go through the season because they have a good football team.
Coach, you've been coined the Riverboat Gambler. Guy does things. You went forward on fourth down a couple of times this past week, but you didn't necessarily try to go for it at the end of the game. And I understand the turnovers and stuff like that, but does that show to your guys that maybe you've lost a little in them, or what?
Oh no, I'm a gambler, but I'm not that much of a gambler. The week before, I would have loved to have the last series back that we had against Kansas State. We got the ball with like 30 seconds to go in the half, and I try to throw it out, tell them we need to throw it, so we throw it down the field. They intercept it, and then they throw it deep, and then Blackman intercepts it, and he turns his ankle, and he's probably out, for a while. And so, you gotta pick and choose, and that's what I've always done when it comes in terms of going for fourth downs or faking a punt or kicking an onside kick. You gotta know your times. And our defense has been out there a lot, and I wanted our defense to be a little bit fresher, and that's the reason I didn't just take in the earlier. I said, let's run the ball and see if we can get anything. If we can, we might take a shot. But didn't get much on the first couple, so I said, let's pull the plug, rest the defense, because they were going to have to play in overtime. And that's kind of pretty much the reason. But you got to just go by your instincts. I'd do the same thing again. I mean, that was kind of a no-brainer. That wasn't much of a gamble there. That would have been suicide if we'd tried to throw them deep against what they were doing defensively.